pudding will look very similar to the traditional rice or tapioca pudding that you may know, but the quinoa in this recipe will make the pudding a much healthier choice. While quinoa is often cooked and eaten like a grain, it's actually the seed of a flowering plant native to the Andes Mountains in South America. Being a seed opposed to a grain will give this pudding a higher fiber and protein content than traditional rice or tapioca pudding. In fact, quinoa is a complete protein, which means that it contains all of the 9 essential amino acids that your body does not make on its own. Here's what you'll need. 3/4 of a cup of quinoa. If you aren't familiar with quinoa, it's typically found near the rice at the grocery store. The trick is that it's pronounced very differently than it's spelled. You will also need 1.5 cups of water, 2 large, very ripe bananas, a cup of unsweetened almond milk, 1 cup of vanilla flavored almond milk, 3 tablespoons of honey, a tablespoon of butter, and 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Now the first thing you want to do is rinse the seeds until the water is clear. You want to rinse the quinoa to remove the natural coating on the seeds that can make it taste a little bitter or soapy. Now the perforations in my colander are pretty large, so I'm going to line the colander with a paper towel so I don't lose any seeds in the process. Next, I transferred the quinoa into a saucepan and added 1.5 cups water, and then I'll let it soak for 30 minutes. While the quinoa is soaking, I'm going to blend together the milk, bananas, honey, butter, and cinnamon until smooth. You can really use whatever type of milk that you'd like. I'm using almond milk just for the lower fat and calorie content. If I was making this for somebody who needed to increase their calories for whatever reason, I might use 2% or whole milk. You don't have to use butter if you don't want to. It's just going to give it a little bit more creamier taste. And also the honey is just to sweeten it up a little bit. This is a pudding, so it's a dessert. So if you want to substitute a lower calorie sweetener, that would be fine as well. We'll just add in the cinnamon there. After it's blended, it will look like this. So I'll just set it aside and get ready to cook our quinoa. Now that the quinoa is finished soaking, I'm going to bring the water and quinoa to a boil. Once it reaches a boil, I'm going to turn it down to low, cover it, and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. So the water came to a boil, and now I'm just going to keep watching it until the water is all absorbed. Okay, all of the water is absorbed in the quinoa, so now I'm going to add in banana and milk mixture. Give it a good stir, and then I'll raise the heat to medium and allow this to cook, constantly stirring for about 10 minutes until the pudding gets nice and thick. Okay, the pudding is at the consistency that I'm hoping for it to be. So I'm going to transfer it into a serving dish. And then put it in the refrigerator for about a half hour. Okay, after the pudding is cooled, you can garnish it with just a sprinkle of cinnamon. And if you were trying to make this sweeter or add some more calories for someone, you can always put a little swirl of honey on top. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed this cooking demonstration, and I look forward to seeing you next time.